At Gold Belt Heritage Foundation, we've had the privilege of having Administration for Native Americans grant in place for the last 3 years. And that grant has enabled us to work towards language preservation. And as we all know, that's not an easy endeavor. We're trying to preserve a language that has in some respects been stolen from us. And I'm sorry, the mic doesn't, it just is the recorder for the recorder. In some respects, that language has been stolen from us. And for those of us who are fluent speakers, it's very much a gift and a blessing that our children and our grandchildren want to hold on to and want to be a part of. And I think through this project, we're much like children ourselves, trying to learn and hold on to a language. And so I just have to say, when you listen to the presentations, think about how we can continue to build upon these efforts, because it's not one project that's going to save our language. It's going to take all of us. It's going to take me as a mother committing my children to be a part of an immersion program. It's going to take our fluent speakers and our language teachers and our linguists. It's going to take all of us. And it's not an easy endeavor. I know from trying to learn the language myself that much of it is lost to me, and I can hope my children as younger learners are able to grasp more. And I think it's more than a worthy endeavor for us. It's a calling. And it's one that many of us have said yes to. And even if our role is this big, it's big enough to move mountains. And so thank you all for coming here today and for listening to our presentations and for being a part of this work. And a cheesh.
I'm interrupting because I want to make sure you turn to page 3. This is a handout for 3 days worth of Gold Belt Heritage Foundation workshops. We're on page 3, so Banak was going to show you the online resources for these 3 people who are listed. This mic is recording. This mic is recording just for the recording that's happening here. Yeah. So, and then Daphne and her elders, and then King Kaudnik.
Cheesh. Hey. Yake Yuxitini Hati Adi. Konak Yukatu Sak, Tlingit Kainak. Katsuya Aktu Sike Ya Tlingit. Yuk Atanktin. Sakat Yeji Nei. Yeji Nei Ya Gold Belt Heritage Foundation. Ak Itawa Ukaya. Kalchuk Sakai today. What's it do? Sock Ayakwe. Kalchuk Tokai today Datuna. I'd like to thank you all, and I'm very proud to be working with all the work that you language teachers have been developing for the past 2 years, and we're putting it on into the computer. I think I said the right new word for computer. Kashuk, something. Anyway, we have a website at Gold Belt Heritage Foundation, and I'd like to introduce you folks to where you can find it. It's right here under goldbeltheritage.org, and under, if you go to the website, you go to educational resources, and this lists all of the work that the teachers have been working on for 2 years. We started in 2010, and these here list all the lessons. You can go into the lessons here and just click on them. They're all links to the lessons. If a teacher picks up this, you just press the link, and it gives you the audio and also the whole lesson plan where you can have it printed out. And also we have a link to the audio, which you can download, or you can contact us at goldbeltheritagefoundation.org, and we'll send you a copy of it on a CD. And today we're presenting here in 2011, we're presenting 2 new ones here is Kashke and Canuck, right? Canuck. What's to do with Saki? The lesson. Good day, Siani. Good. To where are you going? Yeah, where? Going places is the way it's called right here. Yeah. So they're doing some excerpts from this lesson. And you just press this here, and this pulls up the lesson for you, and it gives you all the background information, cultural significance, the elder culture bearer role, the overview of the unit, what you find in the lessons. There's 5 lessons in this unit. And then you scroll down and you'll find all the vocabulary that's in the unit. And that's recorded in an audio. And that's available by request from the Heritage Foundation. And then it goes into the verbs that the ANA Language Project has been working on. And then it goes down, if you scroll down further, it goes into the lessons, where they start. And it starts out with lesson 1, gives you activities for the lesson. And the vocabulary that'll be used in the lesson, in each lesson. And that's what we have on the website for resources for people that want to utilize these Tlingit language lessons. Gunachish. Uh-huh.
So this is on. This is on, but it's not projecting, right? I feel like I have a toy microphone in my classroom. I feel like I'm using it. Doesn't work. It's good to see a room full of friendly faces. I see lots of familiar faces in here. Daphne Wright, Yuchat Juasak, Late Cock, Enach, Akdaintan Ayachat, Huna, Dach, Filipino Yeti, Kagwantan, that's Khan Ayachat, Gunaschis Kagwantan, Hatukadiyuk. Okay, let's see. Oh, Huna City Schools, Yejechane. I'm going to switch to English for a lot. So I'm working at Huna City Schools as a Tlingit language teacher. I work as Roby said, I think talking about her is part-time. Yeah, less than half time, but to very, I feel very valued there actually. I teach in the elementary school as a Tlingit language teacher, and I meet with kindergarten through 6th grade. These lessons that I'm going to be talking about were written basically for middle elementary, but anyone could use them. You could use these lessons for kindergarten all the way up to adults. And, okay? Yeah. But before I get started with that, I want to say Gunachish to Karnak, Ruth Demerit, who's going to be helping me today. I normally work with Genevieve Cook from Huna, and she was not able to be here. And I want to thank Genevieve also. She helps me a great deal. She's my study buddy and my elder and my teacher, and we learn together the wonderful person, so I'm sorry she's not here. But she's Kanak for stepping in. She's been coaching me yesterday and today. So I wonder if we could just put it on the outside of it, just if it's going to fall again. So this, I don't need this, right? Because I've got this. Because they can't hear me anyway with this. Okay. Right? All right. Okay, because I feel like I'm using my toy microphone. It doesn't, but I think the toy one projects better than that. All right. So the unit that I'm talking about today is called, in English, Going Places, or the first unit, year 1, it was called Going Places. Where are you going? The second year, I felt like there was still so much more to do with that verb that I just went for part 2 and called it, where did you go? So I want to skip through a little bit, just real briefly. In the beginning of the unit, I review year 1, and we talk about these place nouns. So we have, and I'm sorry that it's small, I keep thinking it needs to be bigger. It's a picture of an outdoor restaurant. So for restaurant cafeteria, you call it atchadakahidi. Atchadakahidi. I need some water. I'm not getting enough. I'm not getting enough of that. No. Okay. Atchadakahidi. And then we have a swimming pool in Huna. So one of the teachers suggested to me this year, for year 2, that we add swimming pool to our unit. And so last summer at the Gold Belt workshop, the elders consulted and discussed it a great deal and came up with Ashkudet Atadakahidi. So this here is the Ashkudet Atadakahidi. Over there is a little picture, and it says bank on top. So this is the Danadakahidi. This is my smokehouse in my backyard. So this is the Atkan Hidi. Atkan Hidi. And it's the lady shopping at the grocery store, Hundaka Hidi. And this is the school. Schoon. Schoon. What I would do for the first unit is do a lot of activities where the students are just learning these words. We do gestures. If I say skunde yanagut, saying, I'm telling them someone's walking there, but all they have to hear is skoon, and everyone just does this. Okay, if I say Danadaka Hidi de yanagut, everyone does this. Danadaka Hidi? Oh, okay. Ashkudet Adaka Hidi, they do whatever they want. Or they go what? You know, everyone does something. Everyone swims when I say Ashkudet Atadaka Hidi de yanagut. Atkadaka Hidi, Atkan Hidi. This is the smoke coming out of the top. Hundaka Hidi. That's a Hundaka Hidi. So we play these little games with the kids quite a bit so that they get used to hearing the names of these places. And while we're practicing recognizing the names of the places, I can be saying the verbs just so they're hearing them, just hearing them. And after a while, let's say we've been playing the gestures game, just as a real brief assessment. Okay, everybody close their eyes, and I'm going to say these sentences, and you'll see who's doing something and who's peeking because they don't know what to do, and see who's just very confidently making all the little motions because they understand what I'm saying. So it's a quick and easy test to do, and do it frequently too, just to see if everyone's starting to learn the places. All right. So let's say everyone's familiar with these places now, then we can do some real work with the verbs. So I'm going to jump right into Year 2, Lesson 3, and I'm going to ask Juan Claim, Gidan, Haku, okay. So I have my little cube here. It's got all these pictures, these same 6 pictures. So she's going to Oh, kind of squats. Kind of squats. Kind of squats. Ash could it ach a daka hidi day nago. Ash could it ach a daka hidi day nago. Yay, oh, where? Sige! Ash could it ach a daka hidi day nago. Ash could it ach a daka hidi day nago. Good day, say yan nago. Kunachyak eh, cook, as could it at a dark hilly day, no good. Yea, oh, well, yak egg and cheese. Okay, Titan, get on. I'll go. Okay, kind of squat. At Kadaka Hidi. At Kadaka Hidi day, now go. Yeah, oh, click it. Back up. Okay. Click. Okay. Pretend you're walking though. Okay. As could it at Kadaka Hidi day, now good. Day, yana good.
At Kadaka Hidi day, yana good.
At Kadaka Hidi day, yana good. Good day, say yana good. Yak a, kunak yak a. Gook, gook. Yeah, oh, well, yak a. Okay, take souk. Take souk. Say good. Get on, how good? Kind of squat. Atkan hidi day na go. Atkan hidi day na go. Ye oh well. So ye. Atkan hidi day yana good. Good day say yana good.
Atkan hidi day yana good.
Ye oh well yak a. Yak a. Okay. There you go. Yak a gonna teach. All right. So let's see. Click. Excuse me. Okay, click soup. That's in. Okay, kind of watch. No. Like. No. Like. Hey, okay. Donna Daka Hidi Day Nago. Yay! Good day. Oh, Donna Daka Hidi Day Yana good. Good day, see Yana good.
Donna Daka Hidi day yana.
Yay! Cook. Okay. Now, fast forward the next whole year or the next semester or something. So I would have reviewed this from part 1. So part 2 emphasizes it already happened, they already went there. So they already went there, so which is very handy. So now, let's see, Segut Atkan Hidi Dewugut. Okay? Okay. Segut Atkan Hidi Dewugut. Dachini Dana Daka Hidi De Wugut Juan Chain Askudit at Adaka Hidi De Wugut Chitan Atka Daka Hidi De Wugut. Yakwa? Yak Okay, good day sa Wugut Dachini. Ye aware. Good day sa Wugut Segut. So ye yanaika. Ye aware. Okay. Good day sa Wugut Titan. Ye aware yak Atkadaki hidi de gewugut dak Jenny. Good day, so good. Yeah, away, okay. Ash could it at dege wugut Juan claim. Ah. Yeah, away, okay. Okay. Let's see. Good day, so good. Say good. Yeah, aware. Good day, so good. Juan claim. Ash could it at Daka Hidi, they will go Juan claim. So, yeah, Naka. Ash could it at. Kunakyak A. Okay, sorry. Pardon me? Oh, cheese. Okay, so this is just a snippet of the second unit. As the unit goes on, then you can start teaching two people going somewhere together. And then later on, you start asking them where they went, because especially when the students are first learning, you don't want to put them on the spot right away for them to say where they're going. Or they can say the name of the place, but we want them to feel successful, so it's just really nice that there's so many people in here who can answer these questions, because you're all answering together and no one's having to feel like they can't do it. That's a wow. Okay, so what should we do now? Are we done? That's done? Oh, wait. Adusa, let's see. Adusa Danadaka Hidi wu Kayakotedi de Nago Kagano. Adusa Askurit at Adaki Hidi wu Kayakotedi de Nago Kagano. Adusa at Kan Hidi wu. Very good. Oh, try it. Okay. Adusa at Kan Hidi wu Kayakotedi de Nago Kagano. Yeah, wow. Titan can see good. Did you see it? Okay. Kayakotedi de Nago Kagano. It's nice to see him. We haven't worked with him for a while, so it's very fun. Okay, I wanted to get right into the unit, and so these noises are unnerving. So I wanted to just show a unit and a little tiny bit of it. The teacher, what I found in writing these and in teaching them is that it takes a lot of practice. And you can see I'm nervous, so I'm kind of messing up a little bit. It takes a lot of practice. But the kids pick it up really well, and I know Daphne has been teaching this unit, or parts of this unit at her school, and the kids are really enjoying it. One thing I'll do, while they were walking, and I said, Tlingit. The rest of the class wants to say it, and the child who's going to that place tries to get there. Otherwise, we keep telling them to Tlingit, and they keep having to stop, and then they go. So it becomes a game, and they're trying to get to the spot where they're going to go. And if their friend is over there, they want to go there too. So pretty soon, if I have maybe 16 kids in a class, there'll be a group at each of these places, and then I can, whoever's at the Danadaka Hidi, have them do something in particular or to travel to another spot. So I think that if you looked at what the Go About has on the website, it looks kind of overwhelming at first. but I really did try to like write out every single thing that the teacher would have to know and have to say in order to teach these lessons. So I would urge anyone who wants to look at it to not be turned off by how many words there are on those pages, because once you start reading it, it really does make sense. And the things that I was saying and telling them to go to these places and so on, it just starts to make sense to the kids and to the teacher. And in the very beginning, the kids are just hearing it. They're hearing these verbs over and over, and it starts to make sense to them. Okay, so I'm probably under time, but I'm going to let Daphne come up here. Gonna teach Isa, okay? I'm just gonna 1, 2, 3. Hello. Okay. How about that? Okay. I'm gonna need just a minute to set up, and I'm wondering if my grandmas can come join me at the Nadak. No. Yeah.
Could you fix my face up a bit? Right here?
Are you doing something, Fred? Are you going to do this for a minute first?
Gonna teach. Anyway, gonna teach. Ya do away ya computer kawu away bachinich. You will check ecoxini at the kwa wese to a SOK to at the things we eat. Her unit is called The Things We Eat, and here's our link to that one. Give it a second to load here, and it basically works the same way. It gives you the overview of it, the cultural significance if you have an elder in the classroom, and it gives you the lesson overview, 5 lessons in there, gives you the vocabulary, the nouns and the verbs and how they're used, and then the target sentence patterns that they'll be using. And then here we are, we start out at with lesson 1. And
Darjini echat du SOK, Yan Marsha echat, Achish has Kach Art has Tuknachadi, Chish, Achit Guhas Ganach Tedi, ECT, Gunachish. There's a few things I want to discuss. Well, first of all, I want to talk about my grandmas here. I've been very fortunate to have these 2 beautiful young ladies come and work at Gastineau with me, and I feel like that's something we really need to focus on in having elders in our schools, because we can all see a difference in our students as soon as they walked in the door. And they've been there every day since January. And for me, it was a real eye-opener in how it really makes the kids, their behavior changes when we walk through the door. And I appreciate having them because they help me model my lessons a lot of the times. And sometimes it's a challenge when you walk into a classroom full of kindergartners and they don't have the language skills and you're trying to teach them from a blank slate. And when you have people to help model, it's really helpful. Yadu, Grandma Flora, Sagwe Dichsiti, at Akua, Shkik Yudu, Sag, Grandma Diane, Deishi Tanchsiti, Yuhan. A couple of the issues that I feel like is important to bring up. Do you have that teddy bear too, by the way? Like with food, hot. We don't really talk about just eating hot because usually it's utri or it's atreishi or it's smoked and when I'm talking about salmon, Walter Soboleff told me, well, you're talking about the flesh of the salmon, you should say chad chuchu. And I had never heard that word before. And he said if we don't use these words, they could get lost. But you don't really talk about eating salmon flesh, right, either. It's usually cooked in some form or another. But just to keep the vocabulary simple for people who, say, are in kindergarten, I just am going to use hot. So these are issues that we face in how do we use the language, what do we use, and how do we keep some of the words alive within us without making things too complicated for our learners and our teachers. So that's one of the issues that I've dealt with. Another one is sometimes when we're teaching another language, specifically Tlingit, there's ways in which we use our language when we're teaching that we wouldn't normally use our language in the home. For example, it was brought to my attention that I wouldn't tell Grandma Flora, cha. I wouldn't say, eat something, cha. I wouldn't tell my grandma that. You might tell your child that, right? You might tell your child that, but you wouldn't tell another adult that, or you wouldn't tell an elder that. But as a teaching tool and trying to create a dialogue, sometimes we are, as teachers, forced to do these things that we wouldn't naturally do in a home setting. And so, just as a preface, I think that needs to be acknowledged. Okay, my unit that I'm writing right now is about wearing clothing, and this is an issue that I'm having. This doesn't have to do with my food unit. To tell somebody to put on a shirt is a different verb, a completely different verb than telling somebody to put on their pants or their socks or their hat. They're all different verbs, and so how do I focus on one verb and all those many different forms of that verb but still be appropriate? So my unit is basically about wearing clothing. What is he wearing? Because that can be one verb. He's wearing a shirt as the same verb as he is wearing pants. And so there's just these complicated issues that we have to deal with when writing these units. And I feel like it can be easy to criticize, and it can be easy to say that's not right or that's not the way we would speak to one another. And I think that's a great discussion that we need to have, because we as learners need to know that. I as a learner need to know what I can and cannot say to other people, because I did not grow up speaking Tlingit. It's something that I've been learning since I became a college student. So I think it's a discussion that needs to happen, and I'm okay with it. So first I would usually just, do the noun introductions, and I always have some sort of gesture to go with my nouns. So for example, hot, I teach hot and I teach chot, and chot are flat and they lay on the bottom of the ocean, whereas hot, they swim upstream. So I go like this, hot, hot, okay, and sometimes kids will make up their own sign language. This is American Sign Language, and sometimes American Sign Language does not make sense when you're thinking about okay? Another one, got, that's the American Sign Language. So you know what I do? I use English, and I say, I'm cracking the cracker, got, and the kids make a connection there, okay? I had to make this one up on my own. Here's your te, Here's your Tlak Usk growing on the te. Tlak Usk. Tlak Usk. Okay. Kuch. 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 These are my chopsticks. I intentionally do it backwards because I don't want it to look like this. Okay, so I do kuch. Kuch. Okay. Now I'm going to, one of my favorite tools for teaching are these hold-up cards, and it's a lot of prep, but they're really good because a lot of times I'm not going to bring Katzeek and Tlak Usk and Kuch and Chat and Gat and everything else in every day for my kids to pretend or to eat, you know. So sometimes we have to pretend to eat. So here are my hold-up cards. Okay, I'm going to give each of the grandmas these. And just on a side note, grandmas, just so you know, the audience has changed from what I thought it was going to be. So don't even look at my lesson that I wrote, okay? Would anybody else like to volunteer just to, you know, you can have these on your lap because I may want other people to partake in this. Sheesh. Okay. What was that phrase Paul gave me? Egius Kwasi Grandma Diane, Egius Kwasi Ha Ha Jadasi to Asiguha Kuch, okay, pretend. Kuch Acha Kuch Acha Grandma Diane, Kuch Acha, okay. Waetsu Ha Jadasa itu Asiguha. Oh, hot acha, goodness, cheese. Hot acha, Grandma Flora. Hot acha, Grandma Flora. Goodness, cheese. Gukwa, tuk, just hachadasi to asigu. Got acha, Grandma Diane. Got acha. Grandma Flora. Da sawa acha, Grandma Diane. Got acha, Grandma Diane. Goodness, cheese, eh. Ashke, chida sa itua sigucha. Tlak Usk acha, ashke. Tlak Usk acha. Grandma Diane. Da sa acha, ashke. Das. Tlak Usk acha, ashke. Hikegunal cheese. Kuchek. Ha, chida sa itua sigucha. You can show me the picture. Sometimes when I do it, I go like this. Okay? Kleok acha kuchek. Kleok acha hike. Kleok acha kunas cheese. Dasa icha kuchek. Ha. Hike kunas cheese. Hike. Juan plain ha. Chidasa ituasigu. Oh, do tuasigu. Tlak Usk acha Juan plain. Tlak Usk. Dasa acha Juan plain. Oh, Tlak Usk acha hike Tlak Usk. Kegunas cheese sekut. Chidasa ituasigu ha. Chidasa. Kuch acha sekut. Kuch acha acha 18 mitzu acha okay dasa icha okay kuch acha sekut. Grandma Flora, trick you question. Kleok acha sekut. Oh goodness, cheese okay okay adusa kingisti. Ha. I shouldn't tell you that, I know. Kinkoa aha kingisti. Kinkoa dasa aha kingisti. Goodness, sheesh. Adusa. Oh, keoye. Chidasi tuasi guha. Gat aha tutan keoye. Tachwasagu. Gat aha. Akishawu. Dasa aha tutan. Goodness, sheesh. Sakaske aha tutan. Oh, goodness. Sheesh. Now, I'm just going to stop here because if I didn't have the grandmas in the room with me when I'm trying to do a lesson like this, could you see how it might not work? It might not work. I would have to start very minimal, and I would have to be doing all of the pretending and all of the talking. I would not expect my students. I mean, most of the time, I get to see my students once a week, a half an hour a week, and that's it. And so for me, with those students that I only get to see a half hour a week, I really only expect them to have receptive language. I ask them to do a lot of pointing to pictures or roll the ball to the picture or drive the race car to the picture, and I try to include the verbs in there because I don't expect them to have expressive language with the amount of time that I get to see them. You know, I wouldn't expect that of them. But in this kind of setting, it's a lot different. And I'm really grateful to these two grandmas that they're in there and they're on top of their game. Well, sometimes they forget, but Kingiste.
Are all the students you teach Tlingit?
No, I just did my numbers. I teach 337 students every week, and I would say 150 of them are Alaska Native.
So the rest are not native.
Yeah, at Gastineau alone, 200 of them are non-native.
So how do the other 200 interact with this?
Okay, I'll tell you how they interact. They are so into it that when they found out that Gastineau is not going to have Tlingit language next year, they started pulling their own change out of their pockets and putting it in my hand because they wanted Tlingit language so bad at their school. That's how those non-native kids are reacting. And, I mean, it breaks my heart. I might even well up a little bit, but it just goes to show, and being such an inclusive program that everybody at the entire school is involved in it, there's this profound respect that's growing among all of the students and the teachers and the staff, and it's amazing. So yeah, it's an amazing experience to be able to have that. Yeah, Chish. I may yes kushik.
That's happening. We started a 6th grade project class where I get to have all the 6th graders for 6 weeks, 3 times a week.
Really?
And so, and that's beginning to happen. It's like they're becoming connected to the land that they're walking on. I'm referring to the non-native students. They're beginning to understand that there's a heritage here and that they're part of it. And they can take ownership of it and it's becoming who they are.
Yes, and that's how I feel as well as we do. We live in Southeast Alaska, and this is the land that is Tlingit-Ani, but you know, we're not the only ones who live here anymore, and what better way to experience the land that we live on than...
And the more the non-native students respect and appreciate the language and heritage and the people, the more that the native kids appreciate and respect themselves.
Oh, I agree. When I see some of those kids who used to come to school and you couldn't even get a smile out of them, and by the following year they're smiling and they're saying "Siye Placitin" to you walking out the door, it's, yeah, you can see that happening at the schools. Armando?
How do you think that this is going to affect the later schools, like the middle school and the high school in later years? How do you think it's going to affect the social kind of hub there?
Wow, that's a deep question. So you're thinking about the connectedness of those students and how...
Is it going to carry on through the other grades or next grades?
There is no Tlingit language, as far as I know, in the middle school. I mean, so I guess I understand your question that they may spread apart again. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to do. We can't see the results yet, you know, and it's going to.
What you give those young kids, they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. Just like one of the speakers yesterday or the day before said, Father Alexa, he said, everything that I know I learned in kindergarten.
Yeah, geez.
Becomes who they are for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that is the most influential years of their lives, or the young age. So I'm hoping that that's the truth.
Can I make a comment?
Hold on.
Since we've been at Gasno School, we have been shown nothing but respect from all the students. Sometimes they line up after we get done with the class, and they all want a hug. And they fight to get in front just to give them that little hug. And they, every time we see them in the hallway, hi, Grandma Diane, where's the other grandma, or where's the young lady? Florida. She's known as Grandma Florida. So, yeah. One student said to Flora, there's a town that's named after you. She said, what is it? Florida.
You know, that's an interesting note. You know how you're supposed to walk down the halls and you're supposed to stay in line and you're supposed to be quiet? Well, that kind of doesn't happen when the grandmas walk by, because the kids are like, hey, grandmas, it's grandmas over there. And one thing that I did that I didn't know it was going to work, but I started teaching feelings, wasa, iati, wasa, and I challenged all the kindergartners and first graders to ask me that whenever they see me. And I got in trouble with that too, because now when they're in line in the hall, they ask me that. And they're actually at the point now where they've heard me answer so many times that they can actually answer back, which I wasn't necessarily expecting. But little things like that. And yeah, I don't mind getting in trouble in the halls, because these kids are speaking Tlingit and they're hugging the grandmas. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? Okay, I don't know where I'm at on time, but Miss Alberta Jones. Yeah, it was. Sheesh, yeah. Jessica actually taught there too. We would sometimes rotate because we were full-time college students. We barely had any language skills, and there was such a need for Tlingit language to be taught in our schools. I mean, Ricky taught there, and he was 18, 19. I mean, we were just kids, and still as a learner, I still feel like I'm a kid. I am very much a baby with the language, and I feel like it's going to be that way for a long time. But I feel good about sparking fires, and if I can make kids be okay with who they are and their identity and love themselves and love their families in a way, that's enough for me, you know. I'm always going to keep fighting for the language, but Hoochwawa Gao Gunchish.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
The reason I'm asking her to do this is the innovation and the courage and the creativity that our people have, and so putting her on the spot, she didn't know that it was all.
Gusto a gal. Do we have a gal? Okay. Can somebody? I don't want the whole group to keep kind of a beat for me, but can somebody? This is not in Tlingit. I do expect to rap in Tlingit someday, but not yet. Okay. It's about to be. Boom chick, boom boom chick. Okay, there you go. There was a Tlingit woman named Elizabeth. She married a man named Wright. When they moved to Juneau, they tried to buy a home, but the people who were living there just said no. We don't want no natives living in our homes. Go live somewhere else. Leave us alone. The government said, you have no rights, no voting, no working. That's only for the whites. But there were many people who stood up to fight. They had to work hard to gain their rights. Elizabeth fought hard for this cause. Her speech helped change the government's laws. In 1945, a bill was passed, no discrimination at last. So put your hands together and say Gunachish to all those who fought to end our grief. Gunachish! 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 Okay. No putting that on Facebook, Heather.
King Kaduni, Hadko,
Gulshish Kinkadunikia Duaiya Askayunach Tukuch. This is Paul Marks. His unit is on Let's Go Fishing. Askayunach Tukuch. And it's the same way right here. Here's the link for it. It's called Let's Go Fishing. Yeah, do
Kano.
how we eat cool, how we should take.
Kukakwa. Wait. Kukakwa.
Eat cool, huh?
Gulchish. Kukatihan. Yade hati yokutka. Yad tu atatka. Yewe has doing kwakanuchka. Wedetki.
No.
Achtachkan Kisani Yewe Kaka Kunahastu Tua Segu Hatlingit Datka Wasa Gudak Soe has Wuteka Wedetki Tletka Tlingit the cut has Katain has Wisikuha. Just Tlingit Yin Kokwasla Chadechat no. Maybe I won't. I'll translate what I was trying to say. Is that I called the children when I go to the school, my grandchildren, and I share this with them because, you know, I don't have, you know, my children aren't old enough yet to have children, but I'm old enough to have grandchildren. and so I call the children my grandchildren, and I tell them that, you know, grandparents were very nice and gentle to the children. But you know, when you come on the level with the children, they are so open to what you want to impart to them, and it's so wonderful. And I believe, I hear what David says, and I hear a lot of the other teachers what they say about the children, you know, and how attentive they become when the Tlingit starts coming out. It's amazing, you know, that I've gone to some classes where they've had this assistant teachers, and the kids are just all over the place. Oh, you saved me. And I says, you know, and just before this Wednesday, there was an assistant teacher there, and the children were very active in their classroom.
And so I sat down. Let's say you guys were kind of getting out of hand. And I said, Tatkat kasani, Hyundai walk, Hyundai walk. As soon as they hear the Tlingit, Yawahas yatika, Akait saach, Akait saach. They know what I'm saying because I've shared this with them. I ask, give me your attention when it says, Hyundai walk. Listen to me. And when they calm down, Tlingit kaike, Tlingit kaike. And they all sit down and they behave. Ah, goodness, cheese, that's kind of sane. Goodness, cheese. Yatach twice a gooyin. How come I'm losing my Tlingit? I can't think Tlingit. Wasakat yanan. Clegg, with Ustin, with Tutligal, how Clegg Kayinanak, Tutlingit Yinanakawa. What I found that I was telling these stories about the Raven creation stories, and I think I had about 5 stories that I told him from when the raven met his brother-in-law to when the raven went and got the stars, the moon, and the sun in the daylight, and then when the raven went to get the fire, and then when the raven got the water, and when the raven went and caused the tide to go down. And through those stories, I brought words out in Tlingit in reference to the stories, and they understood by the story what the Tlingit word was. And when I taught them, I said, I'm not going to use English with these words in the translation, but I'll share with you what these words mean. And then after, I want you to tell me what it is. And if they couldn't figure it out, I tell them, what did the raven do? What was a raven? Where did the raven, he got in and met his brother-in-law out in the ocean. What did he get in? And the kids go, okay, tell me. And it says, Yak. Yeah, oh, wow, that's right. You know, so and I did these words, I had about 8 words that I gathered together and wrote them on the board like this. And within 20 minutes, probably 10, 15 minutes, I went over the words. And then after that, I gave them a test. I said, now I'm going to give you a test on these words and see if you can answer these. And in that 10 minutes, about 75 or maybe even 80 or 90% of the kids got 100%. Within 20 minutes, they learned these words very quickly. And then I gave them a second test again, and they learned about the same amount again. Their comprehension through the stories in relation to the words I was using helped them learn those words more quickly. So today, I was trying to figure out, I had a story with this one that I'm going to be teaching my 2 students here, if you could face my board here. And my sister Nora is my elder in more ways than one. She's my teacher. She's my older sister. She's everything to me. Okay. I'm going to talk about, now I'm going to put my attention on my students. She's first of all, Tlingit people were very aware of the tides in southeast Alaska. And many of our communities were known to be fishermen, seiners, longline, halibut. And Huna was one of the largest fishing fleets in southeast Alaska. Sitka, Angoon, Cake, these were fishing communities. And so our people were very intelligent in knowing how the tides flowed. And there were many of our elders who didn't use they didn't use tide books and how to know when the tide was flowing at a certain time to be able to, because the fish would go with the tides, and so they didn't really need. They just had to look at the water and see how the kelp was moving, and then they would get ready to make their sets. But Indian Islands is right at the mouth of icy straits. And it's known that the Tlingit people mastered the tides there in such a way that they were the best fishermen out there, one of the best. There were a lot of boats with people that came up from different parts of, from Seattle or the Sound, didn't know how to fish there. But many of the people from Huna knew these tides very well. So this is what we're going to learn about at Spewu. Hus. Can you say that? Hus.
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 Spewu. Hus Spewu.
Hus Spewu.
Hus Spewu.
Hus Spewu.
Hus Spewu.
Hus Spewu.
Which case?
Hus Spewu.
They are sailing. Gee, I've got chocolate on my glasses. Getting to be a real good elder. Okay. Wuji. Wuji. Wuji.
Udze.
Wuji. Spewu.
Udzekewu.
Wujipewu.
Udzekewu.
Wujipewu. He's sane. He's sane. Did I tell you what this Hasatskewu means? Aking kaniniko. Has aujipewu dasa. Isikuga.
Lekachinach. They're saying. They're saying.
Wujipewu.
He's saying.
He's saying. Okay. Hus.
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 Auji. Auji. It's underlined, right? Pewu.
Pewu.
Kusyokli. Ayakakwa. Auji Pewu.
Has
Auji Pewu.
Has Auji.
What would you think this might be?
They saying.
Oh, where? What's this? How come you know?
Has Pewu. They are saying has they. Auji past saying. Has Auji.
Okay, anak isiku. Askewu. Askewu.
Haskewu.
Askewu.
Haskewu.
What did I say we were learning about?
Singing.
Askewu.
Askewu.
Lekha kainak.
Askewu.
Lekha kainak. In English.
Singing.
Saying. What? Okay. And what I do, I would say, Dasaya.
Haskewu.
Bujikpewu.
Haskewu.
Lekha kainak.
They saying, saying, he's saying,
He's saying. Has askewu.
they're saying,
What? Askewu.
saying,
Has aujikewu.
they're saying,
Has askewu.
they,
Yata aking nasa. Say, wait. Say this one.
Utsikewu.
Awaya ke. Ikadeni saka. Wait this yata nasa.
has aujikewu,
Dasaya.
and they are singing.
Ke. Wait this nasa.
Askewu.
Dasaya.
Singing.
Lekakina.
Singing.
Aware. Ke. Yata aking nasa.
Has askewu,
Dasawa.
they saying, they are saying,
Aware. They are saying. Ke. In the classroom, I'd have about 8 of these words, and so I'd go over them and over them and over them. And then I had the words written on a paper like this, but I wouldn't have the English. And the teacher would say, could you put the English word on there? And I said, no, I don't want to. I want them to see just the Tlingit. So that when they see the Tlingit word, that's what they're going to see, but they may see interpreted into English. So they're thinking Tlingit first, Yekwa, Akhlid. And that's how they learned this. And then when I gave them my test, boy, they were all excited because they knew. And they would just get all, I call them, one of the words I said, your SOK. Yisikuga SOK. And I'd say my children's grandmother used to call them, her grandchildren, my children, you little hooligans. And I said, you know why these hooligans, when we caught hooligans, they'd be just flopping all over. And I said, do you know why? And they'd say, no. I'd say, because they were happy they were caught. And so you guys are little hooligans. Oh, SOK. And so I'd ask them, that's what SOK? Hooligans. Because they picture what I was teaching them. This is my method of teaching. That's how I teach the children. And I know may not be like all others, but I go through these words over and over, and I've taught the children within 2 days 16 words, nouns. But these are verbs that I'm, because that's what they asked me to do today, is to do some verbs. And in the future, I would like to begin to teach the children verbs. And so, I don't know how much time I have. And so, once again, Achin Naisa Yata.
has askewu,
Has Askewu.
Askewu.
I guess I would have to say that when I say Achin Naisa, means say it with me. Has Askewu. Achin Naisa. Has Askewu. Bujikewu.
Wuzikewu.
Has aujikewu.
Has auzikewu.
Askewu.
Askewu.
Tasaya. Aking kaninig. Tekal kinach.
Same that they sing. He sang.
Awa he saying. Has. Skuke has.
They.
Has. Has aujikewu.
They sang.
Awa they saying. Askewu.
Askewu. Askewu.
Aking kaninig.
Singing.
Sing or sing. Has askewu.
They are singing.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to give you a test. Supposed to be happy like the hooligans. Okay. Are there any questions, comments, or I could go over and over and add some more words to this, but it's hot up here. Yes.
Keep in mind that our lessons are in development, so we welcome your feedback. And my son, who is all of 10 and has been on a fishing boat since he was 5, would love this lesson. But what I would think is if you actually, and he does this every year with the TCLL program, he comes into the classroom with his grandfather who brings in his fishing net. And they talk to the kids about it, and Philip gets to share how much he loves to go fishing with his grandpa every summer. In fact, he can't wait until the next season, which I believe starts next month, and they're going to go fishing for king salmon. So I think if you brought in an elder to talk with you and bring in the net, I think the kids would love that. And, I just can't help but think of my son and how much he would love this lesson and talk about fishing with his grandfather. So just one thought to make it interactive, but also just to highlight that all of our lessons are still being developed, and this grant that we have in place will end at the end of September. And so we're going to be refining lessons. And I handed out earlier the teacher or the lesson feedback form. If you could take the time to fill those out, we really do welcome your feedback, because we want to include as many of your ideas as well to make the work engaging and to make it lasting for our children. So, gonna sheesh.
Sheesh. Any more? Kika? Gonna sheesh because you want to hit yourself the idea. Sheesh. Oi, oi.
Garcia. For the chief. Garcia.
Permanent fund dot. Tomorrow's the last day.
Garcia.
Your state dividend. If you haven't filed your state dividend, you have about 1 day left. So they told me to move this thing further away. Donaka.
Okay. Hooch, where last Hooch? There's no sound on this thing, so I don't think they can pick it up either. Let's do Hotch.
Even if we don't have things plugged into it, there should be some sort of sound coming out of here. Oh, it is just really, really quiet.
That's all the way up. Oh, it's right here in the phone.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this could help you understand how difficult this one here is on fishing. This video here, that it's a couple-minute clip we could show you. This
Then I said, Tlingit atu, Tlingit atu. They're in the river. They're in the river. They're quite atu. Like, Tlingit, same thing when we hot, yawa. This is How many knows what this is in English? Yes. And what kind of boat? Sailing, yes. So we're saying Atsukewuya. You said it? Atsukewuya. And this is in English. Can you see this? The net, yes. Well, Saner, I couldn't find a better, but we could call this here Pe'u. But in Saner, we look at that, or strong not saying like John, we would say, oh, Donna, it's a money bag. Because it's all the fish coming, bringing aboard the fish. Money bag. Hotch. How many knows what all these are? Hotch. Hotch. You know? Yes. What is one of them? You know, just all of them all together. All of them all together. They're all called, yeah. What are they having this weekend out there in the channels? In Juneau. Yeah. So this is hot. Now what is it? Now what are they in English? Salmon. Salmon. Saya. Caught away. Caught away. This is what they want to catch at the salmon derby. Kind of king salmon. King salmon.
Close here. John spoke the other evening, and I just want to say, in response to his comment, that I agree with what he talked about about how important it is in our teaching that our students really feel the love and our acceptance of them as human beings, an acknowledgement of them as being very intelligent and very capable. And the thing I want to say is this, that what I've seen of the presenters here, it is right in the heart of what John talked about. I believe that these young people that are experiencing what you're teaching them will be with them the rest of their lives. And it will have an impact on them. Our problem sometimes is that we plant a seed. We're not very good farmers, because we may plant a seed and then tomorrow we'll go out there and take a look at it and see what's growing, when it just takes time to germinate. And I believe what you're doing, and I'm speaking as a person from the Tlingit world, not from the necessarily educational world. If your grandparents were here, if Charlie Joseph was standing here right now, what would he say to you regarding the work that you're doing? I know that what he would say would be said with love and compassion toward all of you for what you're doing. It is phenomenal work. So often we're in the middle of the woods, we don't see the forest. So all I want to say is just keep going, keep going, keep going. Yakako, yakako. Tuwasakuin, tuwasakuin. Kusahanin, keka kusahanin. Ya atwunein, ya atwunein. Ya gaya. Aka awayaki tlak. Yan yakitlak. I love yan hasayawatlak. That is a very powerful phrase in our Tlingit language. Ya yani tlak. Gunal chisha. Gunal chisha anyat kutsani. Gunal chish Gold Belt Heritage Institute. Gunal chish the cut the yeji yane ya. Yahayuka tangi yes. Ho, 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 ho. Yeah, weka kwake yukatanki kuna chisha.
I'd like to say a few things too. What we've seen today was wonderful. In the same sense, Daphne, what she says, sometimes you say a word that you generally wouldn't say in Tlingit, but because of the lessons that they're working on, they use it. That's good. And the ladies that you have with you, Mary, work real good with you. As I encourage the people that work with these young people, if they make a mistake, correct them, so that so that they'll go on the correct road. And I know from just looking at them that they appreciate it. They appreciate the corrections. It's very minor. Some of them I see that's very minor, but corrected so that it'll go down good. You all done wonderful. I thought that was really good. I put my hands up to you. And